Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm going with the laptop setup this time. After last time, it took me, I think it was 3 tries before I actually got something that was stable. So I'm gonna stick with this. This seemed to work well last time, and I'll give people a few minutes to funnel in. So as usual, this is gonna be pretty informal. Feel free to ask whatever questions you want in the chat. Um, as long as you keep it G, I'll answer anything you ask. So um, looks like the first person joined. If you can hear me, just shoot a message in the chat to let me know, and then as usual, I'll try my best to keep up with the messages. I'll probably fall behind, but I'll do my best. Hello, hi. Good to see you. Yeah, if there are any questions you want to ask, feel free to start shooting them off. Like I said, I tend to fall behind, so if there aren't many people in the chat right now, you have your perfect chance to get your question answered. Okay, that's good to know. The audio is good. That's always my biggest fear. Hello, Infinite Gaming. Hope you're having a good day. Hello, Tyler Blake. Yeah, per usual, just feel free to start shooting off questions, and yeah, I'll go from there. Slovis Celery asked, Zadra or Iron Gwazi? I prefer Iron Gwazi. Both hold their speed really well, but I prefer the elements in Iron Gwazi, particularly in the second half, over the ones in Zadra. But both rides are excellent. And the other benefit with Iron Gwazi is I don't have to go through that Zadra queue line. That Zadra queue line is very annoying to have to go through, but um, it is what it is. Hello, Coaster Roaster. Hope you're doing well. Minnesota Thrills, Iron Gwazi or Steve? Probably Steel Vengeance just because it has extra length, but Iron Gwazi is really, really close, especially because I like the overall presentation of that ride with the music and everything. And I think Iron Gwazi's first half is spectacular. And, the end's pretty darn good, too. Tyler Blake, wife and I are headed to Dollywood for a couple days for the first time next month. Any good tips for first-time visitors? So you're there a couple days. If you see Lightning Rod running, go there first because that ride's so unreliable. You want to make sure you get on it just in case that ride breaks down. The ride has a single rider line, which can save a ton of time if you're willing to split up. Some other rides are good to knock out early are Mystery Mine, Dragonflyer, and Fire Chaser Express. Those are 3 of the other rides that get long lines along with Lightning Rod. Yeah, but also make sure you don't miss all like the Craftsman Valley area because there's a lot of cool things to see there beyond the rides. Infinite Gaming, best wooden coaster not in America. I'd have to go with, of the ones I've ridden, Wildfire Colmarden. That is an excellent roller coaster. Amazing elevators and claws. Could you add some background music to your videos? I do have background music on there. It's usually pretty low on my voiceover videos. On the live stream, I'm not quite sure how to get music on there live. Sorry. It's Serious Arc, Twisted Colossus or X2. I prefer Twisted Colossus. I love that layout. Even if it doesn't duel, great elements in that ride. Coaster Roaster, I'm doing well. Hello to see you, Cat Ashworth. Logan Powell, do you think they would play the Nitro Station music this year? So they're playing a loop, at least, well, I haven't been this year, but last year they were playing a loop that would include the old Nitro music. I think it occurred every like 20, 30 minutes. So I'm sure that's the one they're going to run again. Blackjack VA, if you could create a park with only 3 roller coasters, what type of models would you have? I'd love to have a classic wood coaster like Phoenix just because it has a low height requirement. It's loved by everyone and it's approachable, for all ages. I'd love to see like a giant RMC hyper hybrid, something like Iron Gwazi. That's another ride put in there. Then maybe all those like Mach extreme spinning coasters because those are such unique rides, and the way the experience changes each time is awesome. Slovis Celery, sorry you weren't too impressed by Iron Gwazi. Most people I see seem to love that ride. Ian Martin, good to see you. Hello, Coaster Fluid. Hi, you're going to Orlando next week for Universal. Really excited for Velocicoaster. Yeah, Velocicoaster is a lot better than TMNT Shellraiser. I love it. Coaster Fluid, thoughts on California Girls? The Katy Perry song, I guess it's okay. Amazing elevators and claws. No problem answering the question. Coaster Roaster, thoughts on Slinky Dog Dash? Yeah, the ride's not worth a 2-hour wait, especially back when it didn't have shade in the queue line. I just love the Slinky Dog character, so I think I'm a little more biased towards that ride than others, but it's a great family coaster. The line's kind of a bummer. But if you can get a ride in that when it's like 30 minutes or less, I think that's the ideal wait to get on it. So that's one where I just keep on looking for a lightning lane for it, or I just get in line right before close, especially because the lights are really cool at night. Coaster Fluid, best Spider-Man, Toby, Andrew, or Tom? So my thoughts are that Toby's the best Peter Parker, Andrew's the best Spider-Man, and Tom's the best balance of them. Infinite Gaming, what makes a roller coaster good passing? I like roller coasters that have really good... Oh, do you mean what makes a good roller coaster pacing? For me, it's how quickly you throw a good element at me. So basically, can you keep me engaged and excited throughout the layout? Juice Boxer 100, what company makes the best flat rides? Zamperla is really good in that category. Yeah, I'd go with them. KMG is another one that makes some awesome flats. Logan Powell, where do you think the first non-tilt coaster Vekoma will go? If you mean large-scale Vekoma in the U.S. that's not a tilt one, yeah, I'm not too sure because Disney's been a big customer of Vekoma, but they're probably not going to add one of the large-scale thrill coasters. Maybe Hershey, because I think they're happy with Dragonflyer, so that would be my guess. Coaster Fluid, Michael Jackson. I like some of his songs. I don't listen to too much of his work, though. Amazing elevators and claws. Have you been to Worlds of Fun? House Patriot? Patriot's probably the weakest invert. Worlds of Fun's one of the weaker Cedar Fair parks, but it's still a fine park. Crowds usually aren't a major issue there. I think the park looks pretty good, and Prowler is a solid ride. I don't seem to get as good rides on as others, but I still enjoy it. David Arlen, the Bassman, you're going to Knott's Berry Farm in a couple weeks. You might go to New England to ride Wooden Warrior, Boulder Dash, and Wicked Cyclone. Yeah, I hope you enjoy those trips. Those are some great parks. Blackjack VA, what's your favorite video you've uploaded? Probably my Canobie Park review, just because I've been going to that park for decades, and I was just glad to talk about that park start to finish. Airtime Cinema, I prefer Gravity Group over GCI just because their layouts are a little more diverse. Coaster Roaster, I don't have any immediate trips planned right now. I'm still waiting to hear about the re-entry requirement back to the US. Infinite Gaming, do you know Dylan LA? I do not. Coaster Fluid, favorite actor. There are quite a few actors I like. I guess I'll say Nick Cage just because I find his performance is pretty funny, and he can do a serious one when he wants to. Logan Benjamin, top 2-3 RMCs he rode in 2022. The only RMCs I've ridden so far this year are Iron Gwazi 1 and Wicked Cyclone 2. Oh, sorry, I did ride Lightning Rod again this year. Forgot about that one. So Lightning Rod 1, Iron Gwazi 2, and Wicked Cyclone 3. Slovis Celery, did Velocicoaster deliver any forces for you other than airtime? It has good hang time on the inversions. Got laterals on the first 2 inversions, but mostly it's about the theming, speed, and airtime for me. Hello, Jacob Muffman, Kat Ashworth. Yeah, I hope you really enjoyed Blackpool Pleasure Beach. That's unfortunate. Big Dipper doesn't sound like it's running too well according to you. Amazing elevators and claws. Worlds of Fun or Valley Fair? That's really close for me. I'd probably lean towards Valley Fair just because I prefer Renegade over anything at Worlds of Fun, but it's really close. Minnesota Thrills, what's your top 3 GCI, CCI, RMC, and Aero? So for the first 3 manufacturers, I have ranking videos for those that can answer that more eloquently. For Aero, X2 is easily my favorite. Second would be Magnum. I'm not quite sure what the third one would be off the top of my head. Yeah. Probably one of their mega loopers like Viper, unless I'm missing one at the top of my head. Coaster Roaster, do you find Firebird to be as bad as people say? I found Firebird to be fine if you're in the back row, but it is pretty shaky elsewhere. It's still one of the weaker flows coasters, but it's rideable in the back. Marty Harding, which parks are you visiting your recent coaster trip? King's Dominion and Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Tyler Blake, you've been to Lakemont Park? I have, but I haven't been there in over a decade. I want to get back there, but I know they have Leap the Dips has been operating sporadically. Jacob Muffman, I love Phantom's Revenge, one of my favorite coasters. Coaster Fluid, Home Alone or Home Alone 2? Probably Home Alone 2, just because I think the final sequence is a little more violent. Zero G Coasters, Mind Blower or White Lightning? In the past years, it'd be Mind Blower, but based off how they're riding this year, White Lightning. Mind Blower is running painfully rough this year. Dodo Dompa, how do you experience Magnum's airtime without getting your legs destroyed? The biggest tip for me is to tighten your seatbelt to the point where the seatbelt's like uncomfortably tight, so that way when you get the airtime, you're not going to bang into that lap bar. Airtime Cinema, favorite type of flat ride? I have a video on specific types of, specific flats that I really like. Probably Drop Tower, just because I always enjoy the ones that drop you down and find them really thrilling. Logan Powell, thoughts on Huss top spins? I really like how forceful those flips are. It's really a shame there aren't many left in the United States. I think the one at Great Adventure is the only one, but I do like them, especially if they run well. Coaster Fluid, I prefer Planet Coaster over No Limits. I also do like Corn. Jacob Muffman, are you afraid of heights? I'm not afraid of heights. They don't really faze me. I don't really know how to get over it for that reason. Sorry. Marty Harding, congrats on 13K. Thank you. Zero G Coasters, Millie or Orion? I prefer Millennium Force. The speed start to finish is amazing. Coaster Fluid, best decade. If you're here for coasters, it's pretty hard to argue with the 2000s just with how much Six Flags is building and the coaster arms race still being intact. Airtime Cinema, I could see Six Flags adding more dives because they're a reasonable cost for a B&M and they're very marketable and popular. Minnesota Thrills, I have not been on Desperado. Infinite Gamer, best coaster YouTuber except for you. I look for rankings and countdown videos, those types of things. So I look more for types of content rather than like a specific person, if that makes sense. Logan Powell, do Sheikra's restraints come down? Is it just me? I think they push them down the station, but I've never found it uncomfortable. Marty Harding, have you ever heard of the Sky Rush ride-off that looks like your double? I have not. Hi, if the shell coaster is successful for Dorney, if it happens, will Cedar Fair invest more and will become a mid-sized park again? Yeah, I mean, a shuttle gravity group wouldn't be a tremendously costly project, but for that park, I think their water parks are a big draw. Coaster Roaster, Leap the Dips was supposed to be my 100th coaster last year, but it was closed, so it ended up being Skyliner. It's been a while since I rode Skyliner, but I think that ride had one or two really strong pops of airtime. It was just really rough. Coaster Fluid, you're my top commenter. How can you tell you're the top one? I don't know how to track comments. Infinite Gamer, what do you use to record on-ride POVs? Usually it's a GoPro secured by either a chest mount or a wrist mount. Make sure you get permission from the park. For some dark rides, I use a Canon G7X just because that performs better in low light situations, but it just depends if the park allows it. Slow Accelerate. Mind Blower was always rough, but it got like unbearably rough this year. Jacob Muffman, I prefer Cedar Point over Kennywood. Hello, Glass Boys. David Arlen, the Bassman, will Knott's Berry Farm add a Giga? I think so. There's so much evidence that they will that I think it's going to happen. Mammoth Fur, do you plan on doing interviews with people in the industry like coaster designers? At this time, no. I basically plan on just talking about my experiences at the parks. Zero G Coasters, Yukon or Valraven? Yukon. I prefer that layout significantly. Jacob Muffman, my favorite rides are Phantom and Skyrocket. Yeah, Phantom's my favorite ride. Kennywood easily. Cat Ashworth, do you see Mach building a Giga with inversions before the decade is out? Depends if people are willing to pay for it, but they're definitely showing the ambition to build big thrill coasters. Coaster Roaster. Yeah, sorry, I don't show too much emotion while answering questions. I'm just trying to get through them as quickly as possible, just because I always fall behind. I'm like very far behind. Will T, have you been to Glenwood Caverns? Or do you plan to visit this year for Defiance? I'm waiting to see if Haunted Mind Drop reopens, just because that ride looked really cool. It's a shame what happened on the ride. I hope it something like that never happens again. They take whatever precautions they need to make sure it doesn't happen. But I want to see that ride open before going back there. Minnesota Thrills. I plan to do a Valley Fair review after getting back there. Juice Boxer 100. Worst park you've ever visited? Probably NASCAR Speed Park in Sevierville, Tennessee. They lied about ride availability right at the ticket booth that day, and I walked around and nothing was really open. Logan Powell, I've not been to Lakeside in Denver. I still need to get to the Colorado parks. Airtime Cinema, do you think someone will buy the Zamperla Double Heart? I'm sure someone will, just not sure who. Quacken's Coaster Channel, will the Knott's Giga be better than Ghost Rider? If it's as big as the rumors suggest, I think it will be better than Ghost Rider. Glass Boys, I'm headed to Japan. Which park should I go to first? You can either start with your most anticipated park, which for me was Tokyo Disneyland, but I made that the grand finale of the trip, so it's up to you how you want to do it. Ian Martin, favorite Hershey park is easily Silver Dollar City. Coaster Fluid, I don't like any beans. Hi, your favorite bucket list park is Phantasialand, and favorite bucket list coaster is Fury. Yeah, those two, that park and ride are exceptional. They're deserving of all the love they get. Jacob Muffman, favorite ride, Lightning Rod Dollywood. I have a whole review talking about why that ride's so awesome. Marty Harding, you're the only person that answers all questions. Don't feel like you need to. I like to answer all the questions because I don't want to have to be like, oh, why'd you pick my question but not yours? I guess maybe if I get like a redundant question I've already answered, I'll skip over that one. But, everyone has a voice. I'd like to get to everyone's questions if I can. David Arlen, the Bassman, top 3 Skyrush, Velocicoaster, and El Toro. Yeah, those rides all rank pretty highly for me. I know I don't put El Toro as high as others, but, they all have their strengths. Airtime Cinema, best Gerstlauer spinner. I might say Gekion Live Coaster just because that ride's so bizarre with like the Guitar Hero rhythm game at the start and then that inversion while spinning. But Gerstlauer makes pretty good rides. Will T, I saw the announcement about Haunted Mind Drop getting some changes, but there was no timeline on that. Tyler Blake, what are your favorite haunted houses non-walkthroughs at parks? I have a whole video on my favorite dark rides. A big dark ride fan, which is part of the reason I love the Disney parks so much. Rise of the Resistance is my favorite dark ride because that's such a great experience. Marching Band, Take Me by the Hand. How do you feel about carousels? I love the ones with the brass rings. Outside of that, they add a lot of atmosphere to a park. They're not necessarily something I ride every time, though. Julian Dale, what's in the shed? Complaining by enthusiasts. Coaster Fluid, Orion's trains kind of bumped into each other yesterday. I saw that, but I think that was Saturday night, but on queue times, it said that the ride was supposedly open on Sunday. So hopefully something minor and they can make sure it never happens again. But I'm glad that no one really, was injured. Coaster Roaster, worst employee experience you've had at a park? Probably the aforementioned NASCAR Speed Park, just because, again, the frontline employee at the entrance, well, she was actually, I didn't think there was an employee there originally because she was sitting down on the ground below the desk so you couldn't see her. Then after a while, she stood up and said everything was open, found out not everything was open. So maybe she was told to say that and maybe that wasn't her fault, but just the fact that the park was willing to lie about ride availability like blatantly like that was really disappointing to see. Marty Harding, yeah, NASCAR Speed Park. I think they're waiting on a replacement part for that coaster. Landon Horton, I will have some Carowinds content coming out in the next month or two. Coaster Fluid, I prefer Fury over Millennium, both in terms of presentation and ride experience. Logan Powell, do Ghost Rider's trains affect the ride because you got no airtime? I've gotten airtime on Ghost Rider every time. I only rode the GCI retract version, but yeah, I've ridden that ride in like weather as cool as like 50, 60 degrees and still gotten airtime. So it just sounds like you had a bad experience. Hello, Mr. Roller Coasters. Airtime Cinema, easily twisted timbers over Wicked Cyclone. Much stronger layout start to finish. Coaster Fluid, best sauce. Marinara. Glass Boys, with Codaland going big this decade, do you think we have a contender for best independent park? So I'm going to limit this to the United States because there's a lot more independent parks outside the country. But in the U.S., it's going to be hard to beat Hershey Park just because that's such a massive park that can compete with, the biggest coaster parks out there. Jacob Muffman, yeah, I love the airtime on Phantom's Revenge and Jackrabbit. Logan Powell, between SFGA or Six Flags New England, which should I go to? I assume you mean Great Adventure. Great Adventure is the stronger park in terms of coaster and overall ride lineup. Coaster Fluid, New York Jets or Giants. I hate both those teams, but I'll say the Jets because they usually blow up in their face because of how bad that team usually is. Infinite Gaming, what is your favorite inversion? The Flying Snake Dive on Ride to Happiness. Getting hang time while spinning like that is insane. Coaster Fluid, you're looking for something to watch on Netflix? Ozark's amazing. Cat Ashworth, favorite ride soundtrack. I really like the one on Helix. It really gets you pumped up for the ride. Alex Splatter, I have been to Lagoon. I really like that park. It's very quirky. Airtime Cinema, do you think RMC will ever make a Raptor as intense as Wonder Woman or Railblazer again? If the park wants one, they definitely will. Yeah, mocks are always pretty smooth. Gerstlauers are hit or miss. I don't know if it has something to do with the foundations, but like the ones at the American Dream Mall are really shaky. Which coaster is the more powerful launch, Storm Runner or Accelerator? From David Arlen, the Bassman. I think Accelerator. That one's an absolute gut punch. Minnesota Thrills, favorite GCI? Of the ones I've ridden, Mystic Timbers. Love the layout and pacing. Hello, Rick Fisher. Thank you for the kind words. Coaster Roaster, what's the shortest you've ever had to wait for Steel Vengeance? So it was a total walk-on when I was there last year, a few times a night, but there was a massive thunderstorm for 4 hours that shut the rides down for 4 hours at Cedar Point. So I give the park credit for staying open and keeping the ride open, when the storm finally stopped at 9 o'clock at night, but it was great to get re-rides on that coaster. Landon Kemper, what do you think of Phantom's Revenge? I have a whole video on it, but absolutely amazing getting that much airtime with such minimal restraints. Juice Boxer 100, do you like your steak cooked medium rare or well done? I like in the middle. I like it medium. Quacken's Coaster Channel, will you come to Silver Dollar City this year? I don't know if I'm going to go to Silver Dollar City this year. I might wait till next year, just because I went a few times last year. But you never know. I love that park. Might try to go for Christmas again. Last Boys, will you remember me? Yes, I remember your name. Airtime Cinema, Kanye. I'm not a big fan of his music, though. I do like listening to Stronger when you're on Rip Ride Rocket. Fladays, Canobie has not made an official announcement for the Corkscrew. What do you think will replace it? I suspect there'll be a water park expansion coming next year. The fact they cleared Corkscrew out suggests they need to start working on that land, and Castaway Island is so popular, they really need to expand that area. Coaster Boy, I prefer Iron Gwazi to Velocicoaster. Jacob Muffman, favorite sport? To watch, football, to play, Ultimate Frisbee. Mr. Roller Coasters, sorry to hear you had a bad experience with employees in Pigeon Forge. I know you're talking about Dollywood. Usually the Dollywood employees are amazing, so that's really surprising. Hello, Ditamic. Goodbye, Jacob Muffman. Oh, Logan Powell, you meant Great America. I prefer Great America over Six Flags New England as well. Better operations and stronger coaster lineup. Coaster Fluid, Chicago or Manhattan? I'm going to say Chicago just because I love deep dish pizza so much, but both cities are cool to walk around. They're just so grand. Coaster Fluid, shortest coaster ever. Probably one of those kiddie coasters that only gives one lap. Infinite Gaming, I have been to Pacific Park. I like West Coaster if you're in the back car. Those two drops actually give surprising airtime. Ditamic, what's your optimal toppings for a sandwich? For me, it comes down to having good meat. If you don't have good meat, you don't have a good sandwich. Coaster Creations, hello, here's your shout out. Tom Tycoon, Intamin or B&M? Probably Intamin overall, though I like both those. Marty Harding. Okay. Yep, you're talking about Six Flags Great America. Mr. Canova, I have not been to Emperor SeaWorld San Diego. I'm maybe going to try to go back to California around Halloween again. Airtime Cinema, I do like the RMC family coaster concept as long as it has lower height restrictions in the main RMCs, just so it can accommodate more riders. Coaster Roaster, what genres of music do you like? I associate music with good experiences, which is why I like a lot of the amusement park soundtracks so much. So I guess it's hard to pick a specific genre. John Pelosi, favorite coaster in California, Twisted Colossus. Love all the airtime. Coaster Fluid, I love White Milk. Max Moore, you met me at Shivering Timbers. Am I going back to Michigan's Adventure this year? I don't think I'll be back to Michigan's Adventure this year, but you never know. Coaster Roaster, predictions for new Six Flags coasters in 2023. Probably something going to Six Flags New England, considering they cleared Goliath, and that leaves a pretty big void in the park, but not quite sure where else to add coasters. So I know I'm falling behind. If you could just wait a sec, I'll try to get caught up pretty quickly. Chase Baker, do you think Darien Lake will get a new coaster in the next 5 years? I'm not sure. That park seems like with the cutting back of hours and just the lack of major investments, I don't know what the future holds for that park. Blair Fox, Love and the Blair Show. You're going to Fantasyland, Europa Park, and Energyland in early June 2023. What do you recommend is the best way to travel in between each park that's not a plane or car? So I used a car to get between them, so I'm not quite sure the most efficient way using public transportation. I'm really sorry. I know Europe's great at that, so there's probably a way to do it. Harrison Bentley, trying to get up to Hershey Park for the first time since 2006. What's your recommendation where to go? My Hershey Park review talks all about the plan. It depends if you have preview or not. Ideally, you want to knock out Candemonium and Comet on preview night, and on your main day, you want to get towards the back of the park as quick as possible and knock out Fahrenheit and Laugh Track, because those are two very slow-moving lines. Tyler Blake, if Canobie were to get a new coaster, what do you think it would be reasonable for them to get? They could really use a family coaster, because they don't have anything in between the 48 inches of Yankee Cannonball and the Kitty Dragon coaster. Mammoth Fur, top 3 most legendary coasters that no longer exist. Eagles Fortress is one, just because that was such a unique setting in a Wild Arrow suspended coaster. I guess Crystal Beach Cyclone, just because that ride had such a reputation. Not necessarily the best reputation, but it was certainly wild. And then I'll say Dragon Challenge, just because, well, specifically when it was dueling dragons, just because it was such a forceful ride and really cool near misses. Glass Boys, bring back Codaland. Could they be the first park to build a Giga coaster and not be a Cedar Fair park? Or will Hershey get there first? So I don't think Hershey's going to be allowed to build big enough to build a Giga coaster again. I don't think Codaland's going to build a Giga coaster, to be honest. Rick Fisher, if you're looking for somewhere to go that's not on the West Coast, I'd go with Orlando. So many great parks down there. Coaster Roaster, most laps you've gotten on a kiddie coaster in one ride. Back when I was a kid, like way back in 2000, the one at Magic Forest gave an obnoxious amount of laps. Like I think it was like 25, 30 laps on that one, just because there was no line. I was happy, so they kept sending me. Airtime Cinema, coolest coaster concept that hasn't been built yet. I will go with the Axis. Mr. Roller Coasters, the coolest trains in your opinion. Slinky Dog Dash, I love Slinky Dog, and seeing him come to life on a coaster is amazing. Juice Boxer 100, Wind Seekers or Funtime Star Flyers. For me, it comes down to the view. That makes or breaks the ride for me. Chase Baker, hello, here's your shout out. Infinite Gamer, closest theme park to me is Edaville, which sadly announced that their owner's trying to sell the park, so hopefully they find a new owner. Practically the park I go to most, though, is Six Flags New England now. Silas, yeah, I believe Silver Dollar City's building an updated Fire in the Hole, because I heard that old building's pretty not in the best of shape. Sorry, I'm going to butcher this name. HR Lewupa 69. Would you rather pick Untamed or Yankee Cannonball? Yankee Cannonball. Max Moore, most surprising +1. Probably a random fair credit I've come across in my travels. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Maybe that weird launched kiddie coaster at the Florida State Fair I found back in February. Christopher Dietrich, is Europa Park worth visiting if you only have a few hours? So that's a multi-day park, but if your options are some Europa or no Europa, I'm always going to say some Europa. Blackjack VA, best tip for growing coaster YouTube channels. Make videos you like doing. The biggest thing is I enjoy doing this, and if you don't enjoy doing it, then I'd say use your time elsewhere. Puffo, how old am I? I'm 29. Coaster Roaster. I have not had blue milk just because I've heard it's sweet and I don't like sweet things. Airtime Cinema. Worst theme park food. I got this burger Slakarin that was like completely black, both buns and patty. It was disgusting. Diatamic. Do you think there should be a more inversion and positive based ride? Because removing the airtime from RMC makes it really mid. Well, RMCs are focusing on airtime, and that's what they do well. But there are other rides that do the positive G's really well. Logan Powell. I've definitely been a great adventure. People jam to the Nitro music. Herlupa 69. There's a rumor Tidal Park getting a new Vekoma thrill coaster. Yeah, is it supposed to be similar to Hall's Uberkopf and Voldamp, how you have the two rides intertwined? Chase Baker, what park should I take trips to this summer? It's hard to. It depends, how far you're willing to travel and such. But in the U.S., Orlando and Southern California never fail. Coaster Fluid, most intense inversion on a coaster, most intense airtime moment on a coaster. Most intense airtime moment. One that comes to mind is probably like the wild train at Fantasiana, just because that airtime is borderline insane with how powerful it is, considering how small that ride is. For the most intense inversion, probably Chimera's third loop, because I feel like that ride was not supposed to be running as fast as it did, and the positive G's were nuts. David Arlen, hope you enjoy Candymonium. Blackjack VA, best tip for getting all the credits at Cedar Point. If you're pressed for time, probably Fastlane. I know it's costly, but it'll make your day a lot better. Airtime Cinema, best view from the top of a lift hill. I love a lot of the rides at Cedar Point, like Millennium Force. It's cool to see that park and also being out on the peninsula. Johan Eights, if Epic Universe were to build a creature from the Black Lagoon ride, would you want a boat ride or submarine voyage ride similar to Tokyo Disney's Dark ride? I'm not familiar with the IP, but as long as the sets are good, I'd be fine with either ride system. Landon Kemper, what do you think of Steel Curtain at Kennywood? I have a review on it. A very diverse ride. Not as forceful as I expected, but I did hear it was running slow when I rode it. Coaster Fluid, I do not like Gatorade. Titanic, a switchback is the steepest wood coaster in the world. Technically, yes, if you look at the spike, though I prefer to look at first drop. Airtime Cinema, do you think Six Flags will ever build a modern new wood coaster? Yeah, if you look at some of those gravity groups, they can be built pretty cheaply, so maybe they'll build something like that. Glass Boys, what about Volcano, the Blast Coaster, Vortex, or Big Bad Wolf? They're also defunct. Yeah, I like Volcano a ton too. There are quite a few defunct rides that are really good. Coaster Fluid, I prefer Adam Sandler to Will Ferrell. Coaster Boy, best defunct coaster. Of the ones I've ridden, probably Dueling Dragons. Airtime Cinema, best 1-2 punch. The one at King's Dominion's amazing with Twisted Timbers and Intimidator. Some other ones that stand out, like Liseberg is a good one with Helix and Balder. Max Hagenauer, SS launch drop towers or Screamin' Swings? Turbo drops over Screamin' Swings, but Screamin' Swings over Space Shots. John Pelosi, Disney or Universal? Disney. Puffo, I think the Knott's Giga is plausible in the sense that those plans are very real. The park has the money. It's just, can they get a permission from the town? And in the past, they've always gotten permission. Coaster Fluid, I do like Carrots. Airtime Cinema, best operations you've seen on a coaster. Carousels is pretty good. They only run one train, but they get them out so fast. Disney's up there too, just because it's an assembly line there. Brady Talbot, I was not at Six Flags New England opening weekend. I was there Good Friday in the afternoon. And I went one other time, but it wasn't opening weekend. Landon Kemper, what's your opinion on Skyrocket Kennywood? The ending really fizzles out, but I like some of the airtime on the top hat and the mid-course drop, and the inversions are good too. Ditamic, if you exit the ride in the mid-course, does it count as a credit? I guess half credit. I've had that happen on Sandy's Blasting Bronco when it stopped midway through the ride. Coaster Fluid, I'd take Lightning Rod over any food at a theme park. Infinite Gaming, first theme park you've been to. It was either King's Castle Land, which is now defunct, or Santa's Village. Max Moore, do you think Indiana Beach will neuter Triple Loop? So if you look at back when it ran as Magnum, Magnum Force back at Flamingo Land, it still ran pretty fast. Even if it slowed down a little bit, that'll still be an intense ride. Coaster name generator. I think I'll say the Intamin Hypers because they're more unique, but both the B&M Hypers and Intamins are really good. Airtime Cinema, best boardwalk park. I'm going to cheat with this, but Cedar Point, there is a boardwalk there. Chase Baker, yeah. Zoom and Jar on Ka have great views. Coaster Roaster, thoughts on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So that ride always has an obnoxious wait, but if you can get a reasonable wait for it, it is a fine family coaster. I just prefer to wait for something like Space Mountain or Splash Mountain if I have to spend a lot of time in line. Coaster Fluid, besides Velocicoaster, what would Maverick's second launch be comparable to? Probably Terran's second launch, just the one Mavericks in the dark. Hello, Michael Doherty. I am a mechanical engineer. Michael, the Kingdom Hearts fan, 2011. Steel Curtain over Phantom's Revenge seems like a hot take amongst coaster enthusiasts, but I can definitely see the merits with Steel Curtain. Silas, can you do all the Kings Island coasters in one day without Fastlane? If you're lucky with crowds, yes, but it just depends if the park's busy or not. Coaster Fluid, Bombay Express. That layout looks really cool. I'm waiting to see a full POV of it. Max Moore, what do you see in Cedar Point's near future? I'm thinking they try to break the inversion record, just because that's a relatively cheap record to break compared to some of the other ones. Mr. Roller Coasters, which park is the best entrance? It's hard to say off the top of my head which park. There are quite a few that have good entrances. Like I love walking to Disney when you go down Main Street. Even not just from the theming perspective, but like Carowinds is cool with Fury 325 running above your head. There are quite a few good coaster park entrances out there. I like theming or incorporation of rides. Coaster Roaster, longest day I've had in a theme park. For me, it was 17 hours. For me, it would be Disneyland. I've been at that park at 7 a.m. and been there all the way through until midnight. Well, actually, sorry. At Disney World, Magic Kingdom had like the hotel magic hours until 2 a.m. And I think I got to the parks that morning at like 7 or 8 a.m. So that was probably that. So that was an 18-hour day. Well worth it though. Titanic, favorite generic Arrow Looper. I like the Vipers. Forceful rides and reasonably smooth. Goodbye High. Landon Kemper, favorite park, easily Disneyland. I have a whole review gushing about that park. Airtime Cinema, favorite coaster Restraints. So I like Buzz Bars just because of how much room they give you. Just because I'm not used to getting that much room on coasters for Airtime. Max Moore, what's a credit you're still missing? I guess the NASCAR Speed Park one comes to mind just because I've talked about that park a few times so far in this live stream so far. But one of the local ones I'm missing the roller coaster Ocean Beach Park because the rides were closed when I tried showing up last year on Memorial Day. I did not see the Iron Gwazi Squishmallow Logan Powell. Dermot Boyle, do you think Falcon's flight will be built and live up to the hype in Saudi Arabia? It's clear they want that ride to break records, so I think it'll definitely, be a pretty darn good and satisfying ride. Rick Fisher, top 3 bucket list coasters. Probably Falcon's Flight, T-Express, and DC Rivals. Titanic, favorite coaster color scheme. Patriot Worlds of Fun has a really cool color scheme with that candy cane track. Dan Gritzko, what would you like to see replace Volcano at King Dominion? I'd like to see a Mach Extreme Spinner, especially since Cedar Fair is working with them, but I have a feeling they'll probably go with a B&M, but we'll see what happens. David Arlen, the Bassman, you've never experienced a TR restraint before. What's it like? It's a very minimalistic, bar across your waist, and your sides are very exposed on it. Airtime Cinema, I think someone will break the inversion record because it's a pretty cheap record to break compared to, height or speed. Coaster name generator, thoughts on the Canobie corkscrew removal. I think there's definitely better use of that land for Canobie, especially because they need to expand that water park. Ryan Freeman going to Busch Gardens Williamsburg for the first time. What ride should you do first to avoid waits? So that park tends to have staggered openings now. So anything towards the back might not open with the park. My recommendation would be to, if you're one of the first ones in the park, like you have to be one of the first ones, do Pantheon first. You then should be able to knock out Tempesto before people go over there because everyone heads to Pantheon first. By that point, the bridge to Oktoberfest and Verbolten should be open, so you should be able to beat the crowds on that ride. Griffin's a capacity machine and actually is a single rider line, so that should be a pretty quick wait. You might have to wait for Invader, but if you can knock out everything else without a line, it is what it is. But you can go back to Invader at night, usually with no line, and that's a really good night ride. Titanic, I like B&Ms. Airtime Cinema, my favorite cereal is Kix. Thomas Van Horn, do you think Cedar Fair Parks will get a coaster in 2023? My thoughts Cedar Point, but we'll see what happens. Chase Baker, I'm glad that Niagara Amusement Park's getting another coaster. That Schwarzkopf Shuttle Loop should be a nice ad for them. Tyler Blake, I like Symbolica because it's practical sets, but Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is really good too. Coaster Fluid, I like Happy Gilmore of the Adam Sandler movies. Will T, what park that you haven't been to do you most want to visit? Probably Shanghai Disneyland or Hong Kong Disneyland, just because I love the Disney park so much. Airtime Cinema, cleanest park, probably one of the Disney parks. Stamford Bridge, yeah, I'll have to look up Bombay Express footage just because that ride looks like it's so much airtime. Hello, Variety Entertainment. Titanic, what do you think of Apocalypse at Magic Mountain? If it's been recently retracted and running smoothly, it's a very fast-paced, solid ride, but it can get shaky over time, just running as often as it does. Michael, the Kingdom Hearts fan, 2011. You think Carousels is extremely overrated? Yeah, I love Carousels and I love Phoenix, but to each their own. Coaster Fluid, Hollywood or Dollywood or Bollywood? I'll go with Dollywood because I love amusement parks. Hype coasters. Kennywood is either really good or really bad. I love that park. A very classic feel. Great attractions. And they're really unique rides too. Thank you, Variety Entertainment. Airtime Cinema. Have you ever ridden a coaster past midnight? Yep, I've been at the Disney parks past midnight, so probably Space Mountain. Civilian Satellite. Congrats on 13K. Stamford Bridge. Sorry. Crud, I fell behind the chat. 1 second. Coaster Fluid, King Kong or Godzilla. I haven't seen any of those movies, so sorry about that. Hype coasters. Yeah, the arrow loopers are definitely better if your head clears the top of the over-shoulder restraint so you don't get head banging. Landing Camper. I have a whole review on El Toro. I think the Star is one of the best of any coasters. I think the middle's just okay, and the end is fine, but not world class. But that start is exceptional. Mr. Roller Coasters, will you drive nonstop to Dollywood just to ride Lightning Rod once and then drive back home? Just for one ride, probably not, especially because I'd probably fly down there and I'd want to spend a whole day at Dollywood. It's an amazing ride. If that was the only way to ride it, sure, I'd do it, but that's just not efficient. Eric Dzingowski, I prefer Hershey over Great Adventure. I think Hershey might have a better coaster lineup. It's a better run park, in my opinion. Coaster Fluid, Lightning Rod, Buzz Bars. I think you'd get launched out of the train unless you had the world's tightest seatbelt. But that ride's airtime so good you don't need Buzz Bars. Max Hagenauer, I think I like Kentucky Flyer over Boss. Kentucky Flyer has a lot of airtime moments. Mr. Roller Coasters, what do you think of Raising Cane's chicken if you've had it? I've had it. It's good for fast food, but not something I necessarily seek out. Hype coasters, the worst SLC is Blue Tornado. It's as rough as others, and it has hard restraints, no foam padding. Coaster Fluid, sketchiest coaster you've ever ridden. Probably a random fairground one, I guess. Airtime Cinema, what's a coaster that got overhauled but was way better before the overhaul? I guess I'd say Yankee Cannonball because the recent track work took a lot of the airtime out of it. Titanic Manta at SeaWorld San Diego will be awesome with a spinning car. Logan Powell, is it true you can see New York City on the top of King Ka? I've never seen it, but I've heard you can on a clear day. Coaster Boy, most controversial opinion you have? I like the Togo stand-ups. I don't know. Calzone, when and what will be the next coaster at Adventureland Iowa be? I'd like to see a big Airtime machine, but I don't know when it'll be, though. Airtime Cinema, should Six Flags New England make the water park a separate gate? I hope they don't, but I feel like the writing's on the wall because they could easily add a second entrance in that preferred parking lot they currently use, especially because they add new preferred parking across the street this year. Coaster Fluid, I do like soup. Variety Entertainment, have you ever gone somewhere just for the kiddie credit and find it was closed after going there? So I don't go really far out of my way just for a kiddie credit. But I've had that happen, like, for example, Ocean Beach Park, but that was like 15 minutes off the highway, or NASCAR Speed Park, which was 15 minutes from Dollywood. Rick Fisher, can you buy me a beer if you see me at Not Scary Farm in October? Sorry, I fell behind. I'm not a big beer drinker, so I'll say no to that. Thank you, though. But if you see me there, feel free to say hi. Coaster Fluid, I only drink coffee if I need it to stay awake. John Pelosi, favorite dark rides. Rise of the Resistance is my favorite, but I have an entire video on that one. Variety Entertainment, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you for your amazing and detailed park reviews. How the heck do you get so many videos out often? Love it. Keep it up. I have a pretty good system where I can make a video pretty quickly. Some people like to multitask where, you do two things at once. For me, if I focus entirely on that, I can pump those videos out pretty quickly just because I've done it so often and gotten better at editing over the years. Airtime Cinema, opinion on Palace Entertainment. They've had some negative decisions over the years, but I do like their weird mix of parks, and the fact they offer that Platinum Pass now is very helpful. Tim, I live in Chicago. Should I go to Great America or Holiday World this summer? I love both those parks. I'd say Holiday World just because Voyage is so amazing, but I think Great America might be the better overall park. Airtime Cinema, most shocking coaster announcement. Codaland announcing a tilt coaster is pretty darn shocking to me. Chase Baker, there are some rumors about some GCI track on Predator at Darien Lake. Is that the Titan track? Because I think that was announced a while back. They were supposed to get that, and then nothing happened last year. Sky Guy R12 Turn, do you love puppies? Oh, absolutely, especially if they're Dachshunds. Michael, the Kingdom Hearts fan, 2011, El Toro or the PNE coaster? I'll pick the PNE coaster. That airtime is unreal. Variety Entertainment, I have been to Beach Bend once. It was only for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Kentucky Rumbler was decent, and the rest of the park didn't have the best atmosphere, but it had some interesting rides. Good usernames are overrated. Favorite Six Flags park, Fiesta, Texas. Feels sort of like a SeaWorld park in terms of the atmosphere, and the ride lineup's amazing. Sky Guy R12 Turn, favorite Disney TV show. I haven't watched a Disney show in a long time, but probably Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Civilian Satellite, ever visit a park that looked like it'd be a half-day park on paper, but ended up needing to be a full day? One that came to mind, recently was Discovery Kingdom, just because I plan to do a half-day there and then do a half-day at Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Unfortunately, need a full day at Discovery Kingdom because they opened so many rides late in the day. But in terms of a park that was, so good that I wanted to spend more time at, like New Ryoma World was one in Japan that surprised me because I hadn't heard anything about that park, but that park was pretty good. But usually I try to overestimate how long I need at a park so that way I'm not, strapped for time there and don't have to rush. Airtime Cinema, will we ever see a custom SNS free spin? I feel like those rides are never going to turn sideways, so I'd say no, but you never know. David Arlen, the Bassman, going to Knott's for the first time. Where should you go first? If you're one of the first people in the park, you have to be one of the first, do Ghost Rider first. If you're not one of the first ones in the park, that line's going to back up, so you should head over to Accelerator, and you can usually get a few front row rides before the crowds reach it. Gengar, I have been on Roller Coaster Jerk, and there are some funny things over there. Ditamic, I do not like sushi. Landing Kemper. Sheikra is a middle of the road dive machine, in my opinion. Great initial drop, but the rest of the layout doesn't really blow me away. Airtime Cinema, best theme park dessert, probably the pretzels at the SeaWorld parks. Coaster Roaster, I know this is random, but you live 5 minutes from Adventure Park USA. Oh, that's awesome. They're doing a senior night there. Yeah, I hope you have a good time there. Slug Sloth, best amusement park for food. Canobles is good because of the breadth of options and the cheapness. Disney parks do a good job with food, but they're a little pricier. Silas, unpopular opinion, Outlaw Run is better than Voyage. Yeah, I think Outlaw Run, packs a bigger punch, but it doesn't have the length of Voyage for me. Hello, Roller Coaster HQ. Good usernames are overrated. You rode Green Lantern, didn't get crotch pain. However, you got a massive amount of headbanging. Yeah, for me, the key is to get that over-the-shoulder restraint jammed in your shoulders so that way you don't get headbanging, and it also makes sure that the bike seat's low enough you're not going to get crotch pain. Airtime Cinema, a coaster that would be 1,000 times better with different restraints. A perfect example, the Coma SLCs. Mind Eraser at Six Flags New England was atrocious for years, but when they got the new restraints on it, it's a ride I'll now, ride once a visit. Previously, I'd avoid it for years. Roller Coaster HQ, enjoy Family Kingdom at Myrtle Beach. Sky Gyro 12 Turn, House T3 compared to some Vacoma SLCs. That's one of the worst in terms of how it tracks, but the restraints at least don't cause headbanging. Coaster Roaster, best value for amusement park tickets you've gotten. La Feria de Chapultepec, if I remember correctly, tickets were like $10 or $15 and a season pass was $30. That was nuts. Jay Sizemore, congrats on 13K. Thank you for the kind words. Good usernames are overrated. What do you think will be the next coaster at Great Adventure? I'm not quite sure what they'll add. Maybe more like a I don't want to say family, but more like a gentler launch coaster, something like a West Coast Racers. Sky R12 Turn, favorite coaster from Super Mario, easily Yoshi. Puffo, do you play video games? Yep, I like the sports games. I also play, some like Planet Coaster and stuff. Rick Fisher, what park are you most looking forward to making a video about that you haven't covered yet? I kind of want to make one in Edaville just because that park might close after this year, just to, document that park because it technically is the closest one to me. Roller Coaster HQ, what seat do you recommend on Swamp Fox? So it wasn't running as well this year as it was in 2020, but the front and second and back are good. Avoid that back row because that's kind of shaky. Sky Gyro 12 Turn, favorite part about theme park worldwide. Their vlogs are good if you're visiting a park and you want to learn a lot about it, just because they cover pretty much all the rides in the park in detail. Ditamic, I don't know the next time I'll be at Magic Mountain. Airtime Cinema, Dunkin' Donuts exists. There's a ton of them. I don't love their food, and I've actually never had Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Coaster Boy, favorite coaster in Asia. Of the ones I've ridden, Egenica. Ryan Astor, tips for visiting Dollywood for the first time. Get there at opening. If Lightning Rod is open, go there first just because that ride's so unreliable and you do not want to miss it if it does. The rides you want to hit early from a line perspective, Lightning Rod has a single rider line if you're willing to chance that the ride won't break down. The ones you want to hit early from like getting bad lines are Dragonfly, Fire Chaser Express, and Mystery Mine. Trim Breaks 06, any coaster moments that actually scare you. The giant like 4D coaster first drops like X2 and Egenica. Skygar 12 Turn. I used to watch anime like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, but not recently. Variety Entertainment. I am a mechanical engineer for a healthcare company. Stamford Bridge. What do you think about Velociraptor at IMG? That's an obnoxiously long queue line, but the ride's similar to Blue Fire, which I have a review on. Like very well-rounded ride. Good usernames are overrated. Do you plan to go to South America or Africa for coaster sometime? That'd be a trip where I might go for like more touristy things, but if there's a coaster nearby, I'll try to hit them. Sky Gyro 12 turn. How would you rate Busch Gardens Williamsburg's coaster lineup? With Pantheon now, probably like a 9.5. That's a pretty well-rounded coaster lineup now. That now is the signature ride they needed. East Coasters, keep everything up. Canobie, what's your next park? Probably Six Flags New England or Lake Compounds, not sure which one. Sky Gyro 12 turn, 1 to 10. How would you rate Busch Gardens Tampa's coaster collection? I give that one a 10 with Iron Gwazi. That ride gives the airtime, and then they have plenty of other rides for positive G's. Skyline 17. I have been to Marineland. It was over a decade ago. So much walking, but I remember Sky Screamer giving amazing views and Dragon Mountain being such a weird and fun ride. Coaster Fluid, I prefer Blue Streak at Cedar Point over Roller Coaster at Lagoon. Jacob Muffman, favorite park, Disneyland. Airtime Cinema, thoughts on E.F. Myler. They make the best kiddie coasters. Max Moore, coaster moment that hurt that you didn't expect to. I can't think of one off the top of my head that comes to mind. I'm sure there are examples of, surprisingly painful moments, but can't think of one off the top of my head. Sorry about that. Coaster Fluid. My favorite Blue Streak is the one at Cedar Point. Good usernames are rated. What coaster are you most looking forward to that end up being not very good? Trying to think of one off the top of my head. So I have an overrated coaster video. That'd probably be the best one to get that answer. Stanford Bridge. Yeah, Warner Brothers World Abu Dhabi is an example, one that blew me away for how much time I need. I forgot about that one. So, yeah, that's the answer to that old question. Thank you for that. Airtime Cinema. Favorite SBF Visa? Of their roller coasters, probably Fun in the Sun just because it inverts so often. Good usernames are overrated. How busy is Carousels getting summer weekends? So because they only do pay per ride on weekends, those lines move so fast and they never back up tremendously. Civilian Satellite. Which arm seats have you ridden both pre and post conversion? So Cyclone at Six Flags New England. Georgia Cyclone at Six Flags Over Georgia. Colossus at Magic Mountain. Roar at Discovery Kingdom. I'm probably gonna forget one or two off the top of my head. What other ones have I been on? There's Mean Streak at Cedar Point. There's probably one other one I'm missing off the top of my head, but those are the ones I can think of, on the spot. Sky Gyre 12 Turn, Holiday World's Coaster Collection. Probably an 8. They have, great wood coasters. Thunderbird's good, but I think they need something more in the family category to round out the lineup. Ryan Astor, tips for visiting Kings Island for the first time. I talked about that in my review, which can go into way more detail there, but if you have early entry, take advantage of that. Logan Powell, have you heard of El Dorado? Do you mean like the movie or like the bumper cars in Coney Island? What are you referring to? Airtime Cinema, good night. David Arlen, the Bassman, best place to get food, Knott's Berry Farm, the chicken restaurant outside the park. Amazing food and good restaurant. Sky Gyre 12 Turn, Blue Tornado is the world's worst SLC. Good usernames overrated, best quality coaster collection. For example, park that only has like 5 coasters but one elite ride like Holiday World. If you mean like Cedar Point's hard to argue with the best coaster collection just because it's so deep and so strong. Silas, what's your favorite place you've been to outside theme parks? Dubai was just a cool city to go around. A lot of cities in Japan were cool as well. Skygar 12 Turn. The reason I haven't given another coaster a 0 out of 10 like Coaster Express is because Coaster Express is the worst ride I've ridden, so it deserved its own special ranking. Tim, I do have my own personal spreadsheet for coaster rankings, but it's always being updated with new rides, so it's never perfect. Hello, Philip Dozel. Hype coasters. Did you go to Conneaut Lake before Blue Street closed? How was it? I have a review on it. Very rough, but the first 3 hills had amazing airtime in the back. Trim Breaks 06. What coaster, if any, would you say made you an enthusiast? So not necessarily a coaster, but probably log flumes, just because when I was younger, that was the ride with the biggest drop I could go on that had like no height requirement. Titanic, do you consider topper tracks woodies? I do, but they're definitely towing the line towards steel. Coaster fluid, Hulk or Kumba? Kumba, more force on that one. Sky Guy or 12 Turn, how many YouTube channels have you subscribed to? Please name one. I'm subscribed to quite a few, both coaster and non-coaster. So like, NBC Sports Boston, for example. But yeah, I have too many that I'm subscribed to. Eric Dzingowski, how do you feel about Skyline Chili? It's unique, but it's something I've had before and probably something I probably won't get again. Titanic, aside from an RMC, what should Canada's Wonderland get? So that would be my best pick. A wing coaster would probably work well there because it would give them another good inversion coaster that's smooth. Prestige coasters, thoughts about Silver Dollar City buying 800 acres nearby? Look at Dollywood. They turned that into a resort, and they've really had basically explosive growth since then. So, parks and resorts seem to do really well, and it only leads to more investment in the park. Relda, do you think buying fast passes for every single park in Europe going to? It just depends on the time you need and if you think it's worth it. For me, when I look at a trip to Europe, usually, airfare and hotels and all that are going to be much more expensive than a fast pass. For me, I want to maximize my time over there. Good usernames overrated. What coaster was much smoother than you expected? Zeus at Mount Olympus, because when I went on that back in 2019, I heard that ride was horrifically rough, but was actually really smooth. Sky Guy or 12 Turns, second roughest coaster you've ever ridden. Wildcat Lake Compounds is pretty atrocious, and it's sad because they recently retracted that too. Trader Reese, the Dark Knight coasters are good for wild mouse coasters. I like the theming and how they can operate in bad weather. Sky Guy or 12 Turn, how underrated is Anaconda King's Dominion? It's fine. The middle section is rough around the edges, but I like the inversions on it. Variety Entertainment, I love sports outside of theme parks. Titanic, it's hard for me to say any ride should be un-RMC'd because I think objectively every RMC is better than the ride it replaced. Will T, I would have loved if Parquet Warner gave the RMC treatment to Coaster Express, but apparently they just put a lot of retracking into that ride. Logan Powell, I did go to Seabreeze a decade ago. I want to get back there this year. Good usernames are overrated. Best boomerangs. The giant inverted boomerangs. Hello, Jesse Steck. Squidward, what's a coaster so bad that's good? For me, the rides that are more so bad that they're good are more like dark rides that are so comically bad they're funny, like the Jurassic Jungle Boat. Sky Guards will turn. You were nervous to ride Acrophobia. Yeah, that ride's definitely intimidating, but it's just such a rush. Variety Entertainment, favorite log flume, easily Splash Mountain. Adrenaline Central, favorite football player. I've been probably Tom Brady just because, grew up a Patriots fan and he was so good. Good usernames overrated. I do think Falcon's Fury will break all those records. Mark Lindsay, you're building a new theme park, unlimited budget to build 3 thrill coasters. What would they be? For me, I'd probably say like one of those mock extreme spinners, a giant RMC hyper hybrid, and then probably a good traditional wood coaster full of airtime. Skygar 12 Turn, Disney's probably my favorite theme park chain. Reldar, racing coasters, different credits. If the tracks can operate independently of each other, yes, I think so. Creepier, the Celtics are my favorite NBA team, and so I'm very happy with how they're doing this postseason. Moonwell, best small park you've been to. So it depends how you define small. Do you define by coaster lineup, acreage? Who owns who? Like Canobie's great independent park, but it's not necessarily a small park. Yeah, sorry, that's a bit of a hard question for me to answer off the top of my head. Coaster fluid. I'll take lightning rods quad down over the Zip and Pip and Death Hill 10 times in a row. Hello, Music of the Thrills. Ditamic. Canyon Blaster is a good arrow looper. Pretty smooth and very forceful. Sky Gyro 12 turn. Blue Streak is pretty rough, but I wouldn't say it's one of the top 5 roughest I've ridden. Good usernames overrated. I think Beast at Kings Island's fairly rated by most people. It's overrated in the Amusement Today poll. Hype coasters. I didn't find Bandit as bad as people said. It wasn't good, but I didn't find it painful, and I rode in the very back. Hello, Joey the Gamer. Prestige coasters. I'd prefer, say, a B&M Hyper or Giga Silver Dollar City, but a world-class. Variety Entertainment. I don't know what's going to happen with... sorry, I fell behind. With Kentucky Kingdom with Hershey. I hope they add some more stuff there. But I'm not quite sure considering, they had limited investment to Wild Adventures. Coaster Fluid, easily King Kaz launch over anything in Copperhead Strike. Thoughts on Airy Force 1? I think it should open probably by 4th of July, but I haven't heard an official date. That's just a guess. Sky Gyro 12 turn. Would you rather spend a full day at a super small park or spend 1 hour at Disneyland? If that 1 hour is towards the start of the day, I'd say Disneyland, just so I can make sure I can get as much done as possible. If I have only 1 hour midday, I'd probably say the small park, just because if you don't have the fast passes at Disneyland, it could be a little hard to get things done in the middle of the day. Music of the Thrills. I saw the drop on the Vekoma Tilt Toaster Six Flags Qiddiya would only be 62 degrees. But if that's supposed to spiral like that, that should be pretty intense anyway. Quacken's Coaster Channel. Yep, I'm a baseball fan. The Sox are my favorite team as well. Ditamic. Yeah, I love the free spins. So I'm probably going to go soon. So put in your last questions, and then I'm probably going to wrap this up just because my voice is starting to go, and I still need to have dinner. Relda, when you were in school, how would you overcome finals exhaustion? I just keep eating. That was the number one thing that would keep me up. Josh, how many days should you spend at Six Flags Magic Mountain? I'd say 2 if it's your first time, because even if you encounter low crowds, there are so many things you'll want to re-ride. Logan Powell, jerkiest ride you've ever ridden. Range at Yesterland Farm is a perfect example, and feel free to look up my review on that ride. That's a bad ride. Sky Gyro 12 turn, favorite and least favorite coaster name. I haven't thought too much about that, so it's hard for me to come up with, one that's, particularly good or particularly bad. The ones I don't like are the names are pretty repetitive and unoriginal, like Roller Coaster. Joey the Gamer, you got stuck on Superman's Lift Hill for 1p. Oh, I'm sorry to hear you got stuck on that one. Variety Entertainment, easily Silver Dollar City over Dollywood for me. Twisted Gwazi, what would your perfect coaster look like? It would look like Lightning Rod. Matthew Cornell is Dinoconda better than Edgenica? I haven't been on Dinoconda, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's better because it's newer. Hype Coasters, best SLC. Great Nor'easters, the smoothest one, and it has the best near misses. Skyline 17, are you a member of ACE? Yep, I'm a member of ACE. Variety Entertainment, what are you having for dinner? Probably leftover pizza. Squidward, Fahrenheit or Jersey Devil? Jersey Devil, especially if you're in that back row. Ditamic, would you eat dinner on a roller coaster for $18 quintillion? Oh, I'd be willing to eat on a roller coaster. I just don't think most parks would allow that. Logan Powell, favorite B&M Roar. Hulks is pretty iconic. Landon Kemper, Oblivion has an amazing drop and very theatric and good airtime. Smiler looks great and very disorienting. Goodbye Silas, B&M Ben, Banshee or Raptor. Banshee if it's running smooth. So the last question I'm going to answer is probably Matthew Cornell's question. That's the last one I see here, just so I can get going after this. Sky Gyro 12 turn, scale of 1 to 10. How would you rate Silver Dollar City's coaster lineup? Probably like an 8 or 9. You know, actually probably 9. Outlaw Run's amazing. Time Traveler's a great number 2, and you have some good supporting coasters too. Trader Reese, what coaster do you think has the greatest design, not counting how good it rides? Superman the ride at Six Flags New England has an amazing layout, incorporating both an out and back and twister into one. Goodbye Coaster Fluid. Jose Angel Diaz Esperanza, Universal Studios favorite. I like Islands of Adventure best of the Universal parks. Matthew Cornell, are you thinking of making a China trip to ride Dinoconda, Coaster Through the Clouds, Flash, and Wood Coaster? I'll probably have to go over to China for work at some point, so I'll try to hit some coasters while I'm over there. Which ones I ride depends where I'm sent. Yeah, so I'll just answer these last two because I think they came in, right when I said I was done. Paul Sunberg, favorite dark ride. Rise of the Resistance, such a great experience. Joey the Gamer, do you remember I saw you on Superman? We were talking. Were you the one that asked me to re-ride with you in the back car? Listen, I would have loved to do that. I just know Six Flags New England can sometimes be a little finicky with re-rides. And, I just didn't want to get, you in any trouble and get you kicked off the ride or anything like that. And then Landon Kemper, what do you think of Kumba? I have an entire review on that one. So, very forceful ride. So thanks again, everyone, for, joining. I'm glad to answer your questions, and thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for your support. And, I enjoy making these videos, so I'm glad you enjoy watching them. So have a good night. And, hope you enjoy getting out and riding some more roller coasters.